4 o'clock and you're live and ready to go.
Lovely. Clerk, will you call the meeting to order?
I will. Meeting of the Wednesday, December 3rd, City of Oneonta Board of Public Services called to order. Checking for roll call. Chair Merzig.
Here.
Commissioner Palmer.
Here.
Commissioner Livermore.
Here.
Commissioner Levinson.
Here.
Councilmember Drennick.
Here.
Great, thank you very much. Yes, thanks, Mark. And just make a note that we have a petitioner here. I see Liz, you just joined us. Yay, thank you. You're here for 31 Watkins, right?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody else who is a petitioner here today?
No. You've
All
got
right, so
enforcement connections.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, hi. Oh, who said
It's
hi?
John. I just wanted to let you know that Bill Claudy is attempting to try to get in. I've gotten about 3 emails from him.
Oh, he's trying to get in. Okay, that's good to know. So Carrie, did you get that?
I did hear that. I don't
Okay.
show any connections that are attempting. So,
I think he's trying to go through the phone. He couldn't get his computer to work.
okay. Is there an
Well,
email?
while we're waiting for him, let's approve our minutes of the last meeting.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 5th. Have a second?
Second.
The motion.
Okay, thanks. You wanted, I don't think there's any discussion, so Carrie will just vote.
Chair Merzig.
Yes?
Commissioner Palmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore.
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson.
Yes.
Thanks.
Passes. All right, we have a 434-2272 connection that just joined. John, do you know if that's the gentleman you were speaking of?
Yeah, unmute yourself. I think
I couldn't tell you if it is or not.
Okay. 434-2272, if you could identify yourself.
Yeah, you're muted. So anyway, we'll go with,
Carrie, how do they
Oh,
undo it? Isn't there something they
How's that? Better?
That's much
Yeah.
better. We can hear you now. We just wanted to verify.
Oh, okay.
on the call.
is this Mr. Cloudy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, you're first on our agenda. And we have received your appeal, which basically was that because of COVID, you weren't able to get in. You were also, I think you were misinformed about the once a year, sending out bills once a year. It's not true. The bills go out when your paperwork goes in. So they calculate how much, how late you are. And if you are late, you get a bill, whenever that is. So you received a bill because your paperwork came in. And
Well,
that's why
oh.
you didn't get it beforehand. I
Well-
think go ahead.
Well, what I find with a flaw with the system, COVID or not COVID coming into play, was I got a letter that said these will be the fines on a daily basis until you turn in the paperwork,
Yeah.
and then that's it. So the paperwork could slip past me, to get out of my frame of mind because other things are coming in. And then all of a sudden, I get a bill at tax day, October 1st or October 30th, whatever it is, that says you owe us $880. Now, my Citibank card, they send me a bill once a month. You're accruing me every day. I would think I should get some kind of an invoice once every 30 days that says this is where you're at. So that if you have forgotten, that would be a reminder, not a 10-month later reminder that by then it's a brutal bill. So I find that there's a flaw with that system.
Well, let's see, where do you live?
I live in Hartwick, New York.
I
And,
would say call your alderman. I would say call your alderman, your council member, because we did not make this law. And we have asked for that in the past, but it hasn't, we weren't given that as an option. I mean, the Board of Public Services asked for when the bill comes due, the first day, $250, a bill goes out. But we don't, that's not in the law. So we're just following the law here. And when you received the administrative letter, which
Yes.
read that your bill that your paperwork for your electrical inspection needed to be in by March 23rd,
Mhm.
that was your notice that you had from January January 23rd until March 23rd to get your paperwork in. And after that, you should have expected that you would have an invoice, and the amounts were listed in your letter, that it was going to be the first day that you missed it, $250, and then $7 a day after that. So it's not as if you didn't get notice of it. It's just that until you got your paperwork in, there wasn't any reason to send a bill because we didn't know how much it was.
But you would know how much it would be because it would be every 30 days. Let's just say it would be every 30 days, like any other credit card. They would send you any other billing agent.
We aren't a credit agency. We aren't a credit agent.
You're, let's back up. That was a poor choice for an example.
Right. The law.
Why could?
Right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But why can't the city bill me once a month? Give me an invoice and say, this is where you're at. It's X number of dollars. It's grown.
Bill,
Not
that's
that
your
it completely
responsibility.
forget about
You're
it.
the landlord. That's your responsibility to get these forms in on time, period.
Yeah.
Forget the
It's
fees.
your responsibility, and you knew the deadline, and you knew that you didn't get it in.
It completely slipped my mind.
Well,
And then when I was going to have it, go ahead.
Well, we appreciate that. So unfortunately, because the city didn't do anything wrong here, and the law clearly states that you need to show that we did something wrong, which unfortunately the law is the way it is. I would say that we probably aren't going to be able to give you any relief. We hear what you're saying. It will be passed along to the Common Council that we should at least bill when the administrative fees are first imposed, that some notice should be sent. But that's not the way the law reads right now, and we didn't have anything to do with the law. We just have to enforce it.
Okay, now, can I just add this? Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, we're all here.
Okay. According to the Truth in Billing Act, all bills must be fully itemized. So I would expect that I would at least get an itemized bill, not that someone says, well, it's $7 a day, do the math. I would think I should be getting an itemized bill, considering the Truth in Billing Act says I should be getting an itemized bill. So can the city, since you're not gonna waiver on the $880, I can see that, the writing on the wall for that. Can you at least forward me an itemized bill, as you should have?
I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can give you the 54 days. I mean, it was 54 days, and that can be. We can certainly send you a copy of something that says, based on 54 days, it's $880.
Now, but
I will be
54
happy-
days.
I
Does
will
that
be happy to
include
send.
Saturdays, Sundays, holidays? I mean,
Yes,
is that
yes.
54 days?
Yes.
Well, I could have never. That's another thing. I shouldn't be charged for Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays because those days I could not approach the city to pay.
Fax, email.
Yeah, they're
I'm not trying to split hairs, but
No.
I'm trying to save any buck I can, and I realize the city's trying to collect any buck they can.
I'd like to
And
just
right now
point
you're
out
holding
that-
all the cards, so.
I'd like to point out that you were not assessed any fees from 3/17 through 7/1 of 2020 because of COVID and not being able to physically go in person to City Hall.
I actually see that, and you know, luckily for me that you did that. Otherwise, the bill would probably be considerably higher than it is.
It's very true.
So now, how could I approach City Hall? I mean, right now, obviously, you guys are protecting yourselves from any contact with the virus by having a meeting this way, as opposed to me coming in, sitting in the same room with you. I fully understand that. But you would expect me to knock on one of my tenants' doors and say, hey, I'm a stranger and I have a stranger with me, and we want to go through your entire apartment to check it out. Make sure all the electric is good. Someone knocks on my door at my house and says, look, I got to come in and do some work in your house. I say, no, you don't. I'm not going to have that. I'd rather not have some strangers in my house. So justifiably, if you don't want strangers in your meeting, I shouldn't be required to have strangers in my apartments. Do you understand? Does that make sense?
The electrical inspection was due before there was any cases in Otsego County.
That may very well be, but
there was no restriction. Yeah, there was no restriction on you coming to City Hall or you going to your tenants.
Okay.
By March 23rd.
When did you start doing meetings this way with non-face-to-face
July, I think.
contact? When?
July.
Okay, so from July to now, I shouldn't be billed for that either, because you wouldn't want someone in your meeting, just as I wouldn't want somebody in my apartment. So I shouldn't be billed for that time either. Don't you?
You
agree?
weren't.
Remotely to accommodate the number of people in the building. It is not because we do not want contact with strangers. All of our visitors to the building are screened. It is simply because it restricts the number of people who are allowed to be present in one location.
So you could have come to City Hall any of those times, but before March 23rd, you could have come to City Hall and it would have been completely open to you. It's, you know, you were given a break because COVID meant that there were no fines on you for that time, but it's a very long time for you to be behind on this. And your electrical inspection could have happened before anything was closed, and it didn't. And I'm sorry. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for your thoughts. We appreciate, they'll be part of the record. But in the meantime, board members, can I entertain a motion to deny this appeal?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Apparently not.
Well, you made your case very clearly. Oh, yes, I see you, Mark. Go ahead. You're muted, though.
Oh, I'm muted now?
No.
Bill, Mr. Clota, you're fine. I just want to let you know, this is Mark Drenick. I'm the 8th Ward Council member. And the thought about modifying the billing system, this doesn't impact what's just been decided, just so that you know. But in terms of the council, maybe taking a look at more contemporary means, at a lot of people's disposal for getting information to people. We might look at that, so we'll have a conversation. So your presence here and your thoughts, we appreciate, and some of those thoughts are going to initiate some conversation. Okay?
Okay.
And Marge, can we also have it noted that he would like a bill, 54-day breakdown for the 54 days? Can we send that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, I will see that he gets a letter. Carrie?
Chair Mercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on to 31 Watkins Avenue. And you had an inspection due at the end of September.
Yes.
Well, you had smoke and heat detect. No, I said, am I right? No. Yes, I am. You had smoke and heat detector due August 30th. And the other one you're appealing is,
28.
You're not appealing the smoke, Marge.
oh, not the smoke. What is the,
Sprinkler.
I set it aside, sorry. You are appealing the sprinkler inspection and the heating inspection. What would you like to tell us about that?
The heating inspection is actually a state boiler inspection, and they were closed. We have absolutely no control over that. They were closed and they finally did it, but I think it was in the beginning to middle of October.
It was October 16th.
Right, but they were closed. I mean, I can't call the state and say you have to open to do my inspection. That is really out of my hands, totally out of my hands.
Liz,
Okay.
did you ever try to go through insurance company? Because the state authorizes insurance companies to
Insurance
inspect
company?
boilers. Yes. That's just a.
I
maybe
didn't know.
for the future. There's a few landlords in town that do it that way. I don't know.
Insurance company will do a state inspection?
Yes, well, if they're authorized to. They'll tell you if you contact your, I don't know, maybe your insurance company or not, but I know some of them in town that have done it that way, just for future reference.
Okay.
It takes the state, the same thing, because the state gets backed up, like you say, so just another option.
That's exactly what he said. Even when they did reopen, they were so backed up.
Yeah.
I probably called them 25 times. I finally got them. I think I got them before the people because I was such a pest.
A+ for effort, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And your sprinkler inspection was fairly close to the time when you were due it. It was due September 29th and you had it done October 7th.
Yeah, and again, a lot of that was just when we called to try to schedule it, kids were in quarantine or, you know, it's just difficult because to get in with the kids when they say they're in quarantine, whether they are or not, we don't know. But once they say that, we can't go in for 14 days.
I have a list from back that, let me get my paperwork here. I can't divulge it, but it's from the police from back in September 3rd. And it gave us addresses that where there was COVID or people that were in quarantine that we should not go in to inspect. 31 Watkins was not on that list. That's all I can say. That's all I can say about that.
Again, once they tell us that, we can't go in. I mean,
Yeah, well,
yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is what right. But when they say I'm in quarantine for 14 days. But also, I understand what you're saying about a list, but I think that's positive cases. Kids were in quarantine if they were around people who tested positive, whether they were positive or not. They were put in quarantine.
Well, that's what this was. Yeah, it was a combination.
In this case, I think we can certainly approve the heating inspection because I think, yeah, the state was backed up. In the future, just let your guys know that in the future, we probably will expect you to do what Mr. Schlafer was recommending, and that is find other means. I mean, you had from July until the end of September to figure out what to do. And, we're here to help too. We can give you advice. So I think in this case, though, we probably can be okay with that. How do you feel about that, board members, with approving the appeal on the heating?
I agree with that.
I mean, I'm sympathetic to the other because you're right, there's lots of ways of just saying, oh, you can't come in because, during this crazy time. And
Also, though, Marge, I will add that they did do a smoke inspection there on August 31st. That's because they had to get that turned in for their.
so they did a smoke inspection, but not a
not
sprinkler
No,
when they could have?
they did that later, of course, but not.
Yeah, well, the smoke inspections we can do ourselves. So we
Oh.
can work around, but when you're trying to coordinate with two other companies in between quarantines and not quarantines, it makes it a little more difficult. Like I can't just call them up and say, I need this date. Like we can go day by day and say, is everybody safe? Are they not in quarantine? It's
Right.
difficult to coordinate that with two of the companies.
Well, what do you think, folks?
I don't know. I tend to understand what you went through, but was something done at least? I mean, were you checking on?
Well, they did the owner part of it, but they weren't able to do the, the ABM visit because they were.
Board members,
made an attempt.
this is John.
Yep.
I just wanted to remind you of something. Anybody, regardless of who they are, it's just the way the law is written. Anybody can go look at a sprinkler system and fill the form out. What is required is a engineer's stamp. So if Liz Rose wanted to do it, she could do it as long as it's stamped by an engineer.
I have a question about the sprinkler portion. I know you were asking about the other thing, but since John just spoke about it, the sprinkler inspection it looks like it's filled out, I would assume by Liz or
No, I think it was Brad Z.
Bernie Z.
Bernie Z.
So
He's with ABM.
Unless you got the first one, the older one, because I was going to bring up that there was a sprinkler inspection done a year ago, October 2019, that failed. And obviously it didn't get repaired, the violations, until they redid the one again a year later.
which was in October and then received by us in November, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's why I was just trying to clarify.
Why do you think we didn't get it till November? I mean, did you turn this in, Liz?
The sprinkler inspection?
Yeah.
I thought Bernie did, but when I heard they didn't, I did send it over.
It wasn't received till the city till November 6th of 2020.
Yeah, well, they did it at 10/7/2020. That was the second one, so that cleared the one that was done, like I say, a year before.
Oh, a year ago.
Yeah. I don't know, you guys may not have that, but that's one that you were talking about that Liz signed it, but that was for
Correct.
firefighters,
Yes.
but that's when it failed. So it hadn't been working for a year. Besides that, this property hasn't had a CSE since
CSE.
February 19, 2019. We'll just throw that in there. It still needs a housing inspection as of this date, which that hasn't been set up yet. So they're accruing fees on that.
I don't know.
I mean, I could get Carrie if she could bring up the requirement schedule that I printed off for that, but that's up to her.
Yeah, you want to get that to Liz. Because I'm sure she wants to get the building up to code.
Right.
It appears, Liz, that thank you, there it is. Can you see that, Liz?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It appears that the appeal for the sprinkler system just represents one day. Being late one day.
Late.
And then you've just received another one.
You can't say that, Marge. It was over a year old with violations from the original.
No, but the invoice she received for a sprinkler inspection Invoice 2020-2882
There's
is for
two.
$250.
But there's
Yeah.
two. There's one for $252 and one for $250. Am I correct, Joe?
That's correct.
I only
Okay.
got one. No, there is one for 252 also.
Yeah, with that, I don't know, John, you know what that is? I looked at that earlier. I should have asked you.
Yeah.
That's a different date altogether, 9/30. I don't know.
But you're only appealing the 250, which is 2020-2883.
Yeah.
That's kind of puzzling. Anyway, so let me just do a little math here. 252 divided by 7 is 3, 6, 36 days. Here's a thought. The sprinkler inspection that you're appealing is $250.
Right, yeah, 250.
And you've just received another bill for $252.
Yes, I
I
think
can
I got
explain
that.
that
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, well, go ahead and explain it, and then I'll give you my idea.
So what happens is we close the fee out to end the fiscal year for Oneonta on 9/30/20. That is a continuation of the fee until it was received.
Right.
Oh,
So both of these apply to the same lack of paperwork. It's just the first one was a closeout so that you could possibly put it on your taxes. And the second one was the final bill. So 252 is the final bill. So actually what they have been billed for is $502. We have in the past gone by when the inspection was actually done, which was October 7th.
Right.
And that is 7 days late from when it was due. No, I'm sorry. Smoke and heat. No, sprinkler system. It's 7 days late from the September 29th due date.
Yep.
So if you take the initial day, which is $250, and then the remaining 7 days, which are $49, 7 times 7, you come up with $299 would be an appropriate bill if we take it to when it actually was done. I mean, it's late, but it wasn't very late. She hasn't appealed the $502. She's only appealed the initial $250.
right. Okay.
She can appeal now because she just got the bill for the $252. And I'm suggesting that we could possibly forego that appeal and take into consideration that the work was done, paperwork didn't get in, and vacate the $250, leaving $252. No, we vacate, we just charge her $299 because that would be the actual time when the work was done from when it was due to be done. So we revised the bill to be $299, which is, she's not appealing that, she's appealing only $250, which I think should stand because the initial, it wasn't in on time. And she could come back and then we could refigure the additional $49. So it's up, I don't know how you feel about that, board.
Right. I got a question. In other words, she would end up with one invoice
Yes, instead of
It would
two.
be 200 for the $299.
Right. That
Okay.
would be the initial 250.
Yep.
And the additional 7 days, which it was late, being done.
Okay, I can
I
see
know,
that.
I understand that it's really hard to get people to do work, but actually you had from July until September to figure all that out. And I think probably the students weren't in July. So you could have, you know, if you'd acted immediately in July, when you got the administrative fee letter, you could have had this all in time.
That was
So-
what I was questioning because of the second bill. I'm like, this is not, it doesn't add up properly. It should have been the total together, the 500 and change.
Right,
Which is why
right.
I asked about the second bill. So
right.
thank
The
you.
500 and change represents billing to November 6th,
Correct.
when we actually got the thing,
Correct,
which is a whole month longer.
exactly.
So anyway, that's my thought. We can do it two ways. We can say we're denying this appeal and wait till she appeals next time.
Can we
and
hold
then
this appeal?
adjust the-
Can we hold this appeal just for the sprinkler till next month and she appeal the other bill? So we do
Yeah,
it
we
as
could do
whole?
that. Yeah, we could do it. Can you do
Well,
that?
I'm a little confused because, well, I can do that, but I got the bill yesterday and then Sarah sent me an email asking me to add the second bill and initial it so that it could all be on, and I sent that
Oh,
back.
well, we didn't get that.
We didn't
Yeah,
get
No, we didn't know that.
well,
Yeah,
that
she
was-
had me do that yesterday.
Oh,
She
okay,
had me
well,
add
that's
that.
not-
Oh, well, we didn't know that.
Okay, so then that makes more sense to do it together, because I'm like, well, we have the second bill for, I don't know why.
Yeah, we did get it. Mhm. John was very good about sending it that to show that that the 250, the initial 250 was not the whole thing, that we're still outstanding until November 6th.
I was
So-
very confused about it. Now I very clearly understand why there's, okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
But
why.
she did have me do that. I'm pretty sure it was yesterday.
Okay, that's great. Well, we'll take your word for it. You know, our code enforcement office is very accommodating. As much as people might complain about you guys, you're very, very
They are.
accommodating.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for that.
So I'm gonna make a motion then to adjust both of these bills to the total of $299, which would be for the total when we received the actual paperwork being done. But that's just for the sprinkler that I'm talking about.
I second that.
Thank you. Okay, let's vote on that and then we can vote on the heating, which we haven't voted on that, have we, Carrie? I've lost
No,
track.
not yet.
Okay, great. All right.
So the motion for the sprinkler, I'll
Yes.
have Chair Mosley,
Yes,
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes,
passes.
thank you for thinking outside the box a little bit. That was really great and it
Very
keeps us,
good.
we're gonna have a bunch of other things for next time. So we'll be happy to take care of this now. Now for the heating inspection.
so I had a question about that. So the heating inspection has to be done by the state. The state was closed. John referenced that it could be done by an insurance company. Has that ever been done by your business for your?
No,
other-
I had no idea that an insurance company would do it. I've always been told it was a state boiler inspection.
Is this the only building you have that has to be state boiler inspected?
So I did not know that.
No.
No. I can tell you it isn't,
Okay.
but that's okay, because now they know.
Okay.
But it is tricky. The state does not go by our rules. And I know that's frustrating to both John and Joe and Steve. That you know, we ran into this at our last meeting, that it was a state boiler issue then too. But they weren't claiming that they couldn't get the state in, they just didn't do it. So anyway, I think we should vacate this bill with the understanding that in the future, we probably won't. Because we understand that you have options and now you know about them.
Correct.
So-
Thank you.
Is that going to work for you, rest of board members?
Yes,
Sure.
I seconded.
All right, thank you. I guess further discussion? I mean, wait, I have one more question for John and Joe. has this been done? Oh, yes, because we have the form.
Right, yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so we have had a boiler inspection. Okay, so it's not something that's outstanding and still needing to be done.
No.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion by the board? Okay, go ahead, Carrie.
Chair Merzick,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you. And we want to make this clear that in this case, I mean, we're supposed to show in these administrative fee appeals that the code enforcement office did something that made this appeal, that made this fee improper. And they did not. This is the state who did it. And this does not, I mean, that wasn't included in the original legislation, that some other entity might not cooperate with us, that the person who's getting the fee has no control over. But I think in this case, we can recognize that when there's needed a state boiler inspection, the owners need to start really early so they get on. So
I have a question too, Marge, that you're on that. How do we follow up that? Now I know that it's not part of this appeal, obviously, but how do we follow up that this house eventually is up to code because it still just doesn't have a certificate?
CFC.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's administrative fees attached to that too, aren't there?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Making
they'll get an administrative fee because they don't have a CFC. You know, I mean, that's outside, that's part of that same legislation for the requirements under the administrative code.
So Liz, get on that, please.
Yeah.
I'll make an appointment tomorrow. I'll be here.
I will call you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Okay, our final item.
you.
Yeah, go ahead. Was that John? Were you wanting to say something?
No, I think Liz just thanked you.
Oh, okay. Oh, good, Liz. Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you,
Sometimes
Liz.
these Zoom meetings are very odd. You don't always know who's speaking. Thanks for being here. Our last item is 22 State Street, which is a Catholic Charities house. And it's the smoke detector form. There were a couple of problems with this, and John, maybe you want to just go through your recollection of what's going on with what they're trying to do. They've asked to be on next meeting, and we'll certainly let them do that. But I have a suggestion for them. So, but I'd like to hear from John first.
Really, I reviewing the documents, there's really not much I can say. I see the smoke detector was, well, there's a couple of problems with the smoke detector. First off, it was actually dated prior to when the fee would have gone into effect. Of course, we didn't receive it until obviously admitted, which was later than that. Mm-hmm. And in the spot where you typically print your name, I don't know who did it. They didn't print their name. They provided a signature there. So I'm not really sure who signed that form. And, of course, the signature spot, it was left blank. So I honestly, I really, it's just looking at the document itself, there's not much that I have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an inadequate submittal, but because of the agency and they have a local agent who's at 52 Maple Street, I mean, they're in Albany. Their agent is at 52 Maple. The address is 22 State Street. They have a bunch of properties in there indicating that they were all done, but how do we know? So in the past, when we've run into this sort of thing, we've asked the person who's appealing to provide documentation that it was actually done on this date. And also, I would ask them for indication as to who was their electrician. This is a scribbled name and it's unrecognizable. I think John is right that we don't have any idea who filled this form out. So I would like to, and I'll work with Carrie, I'd like permission from the board to send them a letter and say, we're happy to hear you at our next meeting, but we need this kind of documentation ahead of time.
And clarity.
See what we can get so that we aren't talking to them next time and then saying, oh, well, do you have this? Do you have that? And they say, no, I'll have to get that out of my files. And then we're on another month. So what do you think about, I make a motion that we table this until our next meeting and provide a letter to them indicating that what kind of documentation we need to prove their appeal.
Second that.
I think it'll save us a lot of time. That's good.
Yeah, I think. So with that in mind, who seconded?
I second it.
Oh, I think everybody did.
We all did.
Oh,
By
we did.
acclamation.
We all did.
Um,
Anyone, pick anyone.
Okay, good. Good, Carrie. You want to just take our roll here?
Chair Merzick,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
passes.
Okay, in the meantime, John, you've been in touch with this person?
Yeah, via email. So what I can do is I can say, listen, I need to know the person who did the inspection, and we're missing a signature there, so I can get her to provide that information.
And documentation that it was actually done on that day and wasn't just filled in. Because here's what it looks to me. If you look at the appeal, the handwriting, and then you look at the handwriting on the inspection, it's somewhat similar. And it may be that, I don't know. We need to know. So get as much information from her as possible.
Sure.
And if you, and then we'll just hear it at our next meeting.
I just have to look up, Marge, at the last smoke inspection for there and then the one at 52 Maple there, they both were done by firefighter. So that's odd that they're trying to put in just a individual's, because these are fairly large. These are 3-story houses, well, actually the one on State there is almost actually 4 because it's a walkout.
Right.
On the East Street side. So yeah, you would assume they should be using somebody a little bit more reputable than.
Yeah, no, but we have.
Where, signature is, yeah.
Okay, so let's see what we can get from them. Their invoice is really small. It's only September 16th to October 13th, so it's less than a month.
Yeah.
But I don't want to let them off the hook if they really didn't have anybody. So let's see what we can find out. So thank you, John. And John and Joe, do you have any other items before us that you would like us to know about before our next meeting?
Not at this meeting. We have a few more appeals that are going to come your way. Actually, like I said, a couple of those appeals have not decided to pursue anything. So it looks like we're going to have them all done next month.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Good. That makes us happy. Good.
Yeah.
Anything, well, we should approve them. We did approve the minutes. So I think we're done.
Mark has something to say.
Mark has a question.
Yes.
Hey, I want to just follow up on 10 Division Street if I could.
Oh, yes.
So I got, these are constituents of mine, it's the 8th Ward. And so I've heard from both neighbors on either side, who a couple of times, and they were really happy. So thank you very much for what was done there. But now there are issues. The second floor, I was under the impression that eviction had been asked of the entire building, not just the first floor. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah, we
It
did.
was the entire building. So there are people living upstairs. Okay. And I guess there's a lot of traffic in and out at this
How are
point.
they getting in? Did we secure the doors?
Well, I guess they got, maybe all the doors were secured or not. I don't know, but they're in there. They're using the second floor. There's garbage out on the lawns again, apparently. And I drove past yesterday. The windows that had been blown out are now covered in sheetrock, but the sheetrock has gotten wet in these last several days with all the rain. And so the sheetrock is blowing in the windows like it's like a fabric. And in fact, there's a rug stuck on the top of one of the windows. So they are not as happy as they were.
Yeah. Can we do a little bit better job of securing it? Or did we do that?
Oh, no, we did, but
So we did. I didn't realize that. I mean, if he used sheetrock, that would just. I mean, if our contractor said, "Hey, John, I'm going to go over and put sheetrock in the windows," I would have been
Yeah.
totally against that. So I don't know what that's about. I think one of our main concerns there, which I've discussed with Steve multiple times, is we have a problem. Problem being, we have a unsafe building declaration, blighted status, vacate order. Those tenants or whoever is in that building, whether they're actual tenants or squatters, haven't been evicted by a court, which causes a problem because if we really wanted them out of there, we'd have to get the city attorney to evict the building, evict everyone in the building. And the other problem is a lot of those window panes were, the lower pane and the upper pane were both broken. There is a question that if you board those shut with people inside the building, are you creating a fire trap?
it is a big question.
Yeah, yep. Well, maybe we should go to the city attorney. Give him a little extra work it's hard to evict people in the holiday season, but this isn't a safe situation.
But it's not safe. Yeah. It's just.
Doesn't
Yeah,
sound safe
I
to
mean,
me.
and and we don't know whether we can't get in touch with the landlord, so we don't know if these people are actually tenants, which they probably aren't. So,
So we've been we have submitted a summons to the court, and the police have been unable to serve him because we can't find the owner.
Yep. Well, what about?
Did we ever find out who paid the taxes?
Where are they paid?
They were paid.
I believe they were paid, and I believe it was the owner. And the owner has been around recently, but I guess he is very hit or miss which property he's at. But yeah, I mean, we're waiting because we want to get him in court, and we're unable to get those tickets to him.
Did we go to any of his other properties and from his tenants get a phone number and say, hey, how do you get in touch with him?
Yes.
I know that's very common, but it's crazy that we can't find somebody that's paying the taxes.
Yeah.
Right.
So
This year.
the police department was able to locate him in another jurisdiction, and I guess there was some issues between police department to police department and getting him served. So that's a different story, but
Yeah.
we have made a substantial effort, I would say more than anyone else, that I've known of in the last probably 10 years to get this guy to, be responsible.
Oh, I'm not saying that you guys don't bust your butts.
No, you guys do great work.
I'm like, maybe we can go through his tenants instead and see if there's a way to kind of like lure him in. You know what I mean? Legally.
Yeah. Well, let me talk to Dave about having the police go to the house and try to get the tenants out.
My concern is the traffic that's there. Maybe Mark, is there a way, do they call when there's constant traffic? Do the neighbors call call the police department that there's constant traffic?
I would imagine that at least one of them would, if not both.
I mean, not to put it back on the
No, I get that.
but that's what we did on my block, and we had a raid.
When I get done with this meeting, in fact, I've told them that I would reconnect with them both to let them know. One of the concerns is obviously, and then again, this is maybe something, for the city attorney and the police, but in terms of it being, prioritized, yes, it's the Christmas season, but it's the Christmas season for the two people who live on either side as well. And there's a business being run there, clearly from the numbers of cars that are coming back and forth, as you said, the traffic data. So from their perspective, and rightfully so, holidays or not, and maybe even more so because it's the holidays and everybody's at home, so they're dealing with it all the time. And you can imagine the aggravation of it. They were extremely happy that progress had been made. So, maybe we can give them.
Well, let's make sure that we at least confront the people who are living there.
Mhm.
And somehow, I don't know all the legal ins and outs myself, but let's see if we can confront them, and also then do something related to the windows that isn't unsightly. I know, if your contractor did something that he shouldn't do, maybe he can go back and do it right.
Right.
So with that in mind, thank you, Mark, for bringing that to our attention. It's tough. Scofflaw properties are by nature scofflaw properties, and they're big pains in the neck. So I give the Code Enforcement Office huge credit for what they do. If there isn't any further business before the board, I'll say Merry Christmas to all of you, and see you in the new year.
Yes.
Hopefully before then. but meanwhile, it's definitely.
Be well.
I think it's the 7th, January 7th of this is our next meeting.
Okay.
Yep. So see you then.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Good night, everybody.
And have a
Be
great,
well. Stay healthy.
whatever